Hey friends, Barkey Dog here, back with another movie review. This time we're looking at The 13th Warrior. This is a sort of horror action movie hybrid from 1999, set around the 10th century in the far north of Europe, among the Vikings. Antonio Banderas stars as the titular hero, an Arab poet in the court of the Caliph of Baghdad. But he takes a shine to another man's chick. This other guy squawks to the Caliph, who decides to send Ahmad Tonio off on a far journey as an ambassador, essentially banishing him to keep him away from the chick. It's just like a sultan, isn't it? He and an old family friend travel all the way to the Volga, where Ahmad Tonio tries to present himself to the Viking king. Unfortunately, the king has just died, and they haven't got around to making his son the new king yet, so our hero has to sit around cooling his heels until there's a new king. Meanwhile, a ship comes from the far north bearing a grim message. A mysterious evil force has arisen and attacked the northern king's village. They had a lot of kings. Coming with the mist, brutally killing and decapitating their victims, and then vanishing without a trace. This northern king is asking for help from the dead king that he didn't know was dead. And since the dead king is dead, the not yet king decides to go and help out in the dead king's place, because the dead king is dead and can't go himself. You with me so far? They consult the wise old biddy, because every king had one of those. She casts the runes. From this, she figures they need a company of 13 warriors. Guess who's chosen as lucky number 13? That's right, our hero, Ahmad Tonio. So the company sets off for the Misty Mountains. The northern village being threatened by the mysterious murdering creatures. And along the way, Ahmad Tonio and the Norsemen begin learning to respect one another. When they arrive, a child from a nearby farm is found who miraculously escaped being killed, and the company investigates. They find the rest of the family chopped up with very little evidence to go on. It looks like these killers are some kind of supernatural beast men, and our crew prepares to be attacked in the night, which they are. In the end, they manage to kill several beastmen, but when the torches are lit, they can't find any bodies, other than those of their comrades who got the chop. It's all pretty spooky. The attacks increase, and eventually there's an all-out assault on the village. As things proceed, our hero meets a cute Viking chick and helps fight off the beastmen, ultimately aiding in uncovering the secret behind this mysterious, malevolent force. What's the secret? Well, I'm not going to tell you. You have to watch the movie. Originally a novel by Michael Crichton called Eaters of the Dead, The 13th Warrior is loosely based on the famous tale of Beowulf. It's also based on the story of a real guy who really did journey from the Middle East to visit the Norsemen as part of an ambassador's staff. The real Ahmad ibn Fadlan was a secretary to the ambassador and chronicled his first-hand impressions of the Vikings. The idea was, in return for money and aid to help fight off the Vikings' enemies, they'd be allowed to spread the teaching of Islam in the north. So that's what the real-life guy was doing. He didn't fight the beastmen, so far as we know. This movie had a troubled production. and the original director's cut was called unwatchable by test audiences. That's when Michael Crichton stepped in and took over, directing reshoots, recasting a bit, hiring Jerry Goldsmith to compose an entirely new score, and overseeing a new edit. After all the problems and delays, the end result was The 13th Warrior, and it's pretty good. One thing I liked was that everything is seen from the point of view of Antonio, so we get to see Viking life through this outsider's eyes. Besides Antonio Banderas, we have the great Omar Sharif as the traveling companion. He's not in the movie much though, as he stays behind and doesn't go on the adventure. He was so unhappy with the end results he quit acting for several years until he could find projects more fulfilling to him. The 13th Warrior is one of those 90s movies that could very easily be included in my holy trinity of movies from the 90s that were entertaining and well made but flopped at the box office anyway. And this one flopped hard, losing somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 million smackers. Downsides to this movie? Well, probably the biggest thing for me is that Antonio here learns the Viking language in what appears to be just a couple of days, just by listening. Okay, you say, he's an educated man, a scholar, a poet. Maybe he just has a gift for languages, but if that's the case, why does he need Omar Sharif to translate Greek and Latin for him? Surely he'd have more use and more opportunity to learn and use those languages since he's working in the Sultan's court in the Middle East. If you or I sat and just listened to Russian or Greek cold for a year, we still wouldn't understand it. Here he learns Norse in record time, including nuances and stuff, even enough to insult a guy. From then on, he's fluent in it. I can see why the filmmakers chose to do that, although it really does strain credulity. And he just goes along on this mission to fight these mysterious demonic killers without question. Why? He's supposed to be an ambassador, not a soldier. He doesn't kick up a fuss, just says okay, and leaves his translator behind to boot. So that doesn't make a lot of sense either. Maybe he bought into the old biddy's mysticism, or maybe he just wants to stay close to the not yet king. I guess. They kinda don't say. But beyond all that, the 13th Warrior is a surprisingly good picture overall, and the mystery of the Beastmen is handled very well, leaving you guessing until the big reveal. I'm giving this one 2 3/4 paws. The movie has an original premise, some good fights and battles, the gore isn't too much, and it gives you a little insight into Viking life. Well worth a watch, and a little underrated. The 13th Warrior is available on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and digitally from Amazon Prime. Well, that's all I have for you this time. I'll be back soon with another video. In the meantime, you take care of yourselves, okay? And I'll see you in the next one.